Ladies and gentlemen, another exciting episode of 7Qs on the Davenews. I'm here with my friend Elvis, reporting
Hey,
from. Yes, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Doing wonderful today.
Elvis is an amateur botanical enthusiast and
Very enthusiastic.
fan of endangered and vulnerable species. He's going to talk to us about some particular foliage he's taken a personal academic interest in. What do we got? What do we got today for 7 questions?
Man, I kind of like the Lafafra species.
Oh, okay. I can't say that I've ever heard of it. Can you describe it for me?
It's a very small globular geophytic
Okay.
cactus.
Geophytic. Can you
Kind of
elaborate on that?
a
Something having to do with the earth.
yeah. I think mostly because it's Earth shaped.
Oh, okay. So that's what I thought when you said like globular or of that
Words with
information.
thing, man.
Okay. So, round eggs. What is your background? Can you give me give me the scientific name one more time?
The is Lafafara.
Lafleflora?
Lafafara.
Lafleflora. Okay, that's not a tongue twister. So, what's your experience with your background with Lafleflora?
That's something I've always been interested in. Something that almost seemed unobtainable for a long time.
Okay.
There's roadblocks with it as far as, legality, and there's some moral concerns as well.
Okay. And it's a fairly rare species as well, I guess.
That's been said.
Okay.
I thought that for a long time, but if you get to know some of the right people, it seems like conservation through cultivation is
Okay.
an avenue that a lot of people, or not an avenue, but kind of like a philosophy that a lot of people seem to live by. And
Okay. From what I've heard, its availability in the wild is becoming less
this
and
is
less
true.
of it.
It's
Uh,
it is threatened.
but there are cultivation efforts that are helping it sustain. Okay. What, if you can recall, initially sparked your interest in Lafleflora?
Let's see. I think I had heard about it or read about it through like some of the beat writers that I read. Maybe some. I think I read a little bit about it in Ginsburg.
Okay.
But the biggest thing that really sparked my interest was whenever I started reading Hunter S. Thompson,
Oh, okay.
and he was able to more vividly describe and get me more interested in at least the effects of the species.
Okay. I know there's a major portion of the end of Kerouac's On the Road. There's a portion where they drive to Mexico, but I don't recall whether or not La Flora plays a role in their adventures down there. But I would think that
There's
maybe.
lots of cool things going on down in Mexico, man. They got the mushrooms. They got lots of nice cactuses,
Okay.
sombreros.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if there's any correlation to the amount of recreation and the political instability. I've heard that attributed to whiskey and why Ireland struggles as a republic.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because a lot of the early La Fafra prohibitionists referred to it as dry whiskey.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I hope that it's not having a debilitating effect on the Mexican geopolitical state and its ability to thrive.
Surely they have other things that could be focused on.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot going on there. Okay, so it's a threatened species. What are some other challenges and considerations involved in cultivating Lofliflora and compared to maybe other plants, other cactuses? What are some unique considerations and challenges?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues with it is that it's a very slow growing species. And I think that also plays one of the largest parts in why it's threatened in the wild
Hmm.
because it's been over harvested and poached.
Yeah.
But
So it takes a long time to replace
it takes,
once it is irresponsibly plucked from the wild.
right, because it takes, almost 10 years to even be considered mature in the wild. Sometimes even longer.
Gosh, I mean, that's got to put it in a small fraction of plant life. A lot of plant life can reproduce pretty, quickly, significantly. But
It takes a while for it to be able to. It reproduces. It has a flower, and then it produces a small berry that has its seeds in it.
okay, I can only presume that like the desert and just the general environmental factors of the desert would play some role in that. I don't know if there's a lot of. I mean, do you know if a lot of cacti are able to grow and reproduce fairly quickly? And this is even as cacti goes, this is pretty
Well,
slow.
I know a lot of people like to grow cacti because they are a lot of species are very fast growing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like some San Pedro species can grow over a foot a year.
Oh, really? Is that the real
Right. And
famous one that you always see in the cartoons with like that looks like a pitchfork kind of a thing?
yeah, I think it could be those. A lot of times, I think those are saguaros as well.
Okay. And then around where I live, what I see the most is prickly pear, which I can only presume is a fairly
Oh
robust.
yeah, those are very. I have a small micro prickly pear,
Oh, yeah?
or opuntia.
Okay.
Opuntia microdasis is the small, or known as bunny ears. If you go to Home Depot and rescue one.
Okay. That's good to know. I have not owned one. I've made the mistake of brushing up against some as I was walking down the sidewalk before, and
Yeah, some of my earlier experience with cactus was getting in fights and accidentally falling in one in the yard. That wasn't very fun.
yeah, my earliest experience was trying to learn to skateboard and falling off of the skateboard and onto one, and that was a terrible experience. And I have not tried to skateboard since then.
Yeah, yeah. The guy that I was fighting actually fell into the cactus, and then he kind of jumped on me like a monkey and covered me in the spines.
Ouch! Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Okay, so with
And
regards,
I would like to stress I am an amateur.
sure, that's fine.
Amateurish.
Clearly, after going through the audiovisual setup with me, you know that I too am an amateur in my field of interview and audiovisual technology. Let's see. So, ideal growing conditions. Talk to me about lighting, temperature range, soil. What sort of
Man, I'm
factors?
growing. I, I would grow them indoors, just because I like to obsess and look at and watch and see everything that's going on.
Hmm.
But I think ideally they like outside. They like high temperatures. Like the desert.
Hmm.
In their natural growing range, I believe they grow in riverbed, like dried up riverbeds. So they
Hmm.
like really coarse, gravelly substrate. They're known as stone eaters.
Oh, okay. I guess that's
Cultivating,
because they
do
can
what
be
now?
grown in very rocky soil, or
Yeah, and
okay.
they're actually known to crush the soil with their roots.
Wow. Well, I guess that's
Yeah,
the power of slow growth is with a slow growth becomes a certain strength and an ability to make such
yeah.
profound effects over a long period of time.
And another cool thing is, growing in the desert. Sometimes when there's a drought, they can even pull themselves further into the ground with their root in search of that moisture.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
from what I have read, they are very very low profile, low to the ground operating.
yeah. Sometimes you could even think it was a stone.
Yeah, the pictures I saw look a lot like that. Just yeah, like a round stone that has been sort of smoothed out, like you would find in maybe a riverbed or something like that.
Yeah,
Sort of spherical or disc shaped, something
maybe with
along
a little
those
bit of
lines.
armpit hair, little
Okay, I
tufts.
guess. So the spines on this particular cactus, are they pretty firm or are they softer compared to
They're
other?
soft, man.
Okay.
You could run your fingers through them.
Okay. Well, that's pleasant compared to
Yeah, it's a very succulent cactus.
okay. That's yeah, that's what it looks like based on the few number of images I've seen.
Yeah, they're very prone to root rot. They don't like too much water.
Well, other than intrepid tourists, what are some pests and culprits and diseases that are a threat to these kind of
Man, to my
plants?
knowledge, it's really they're really kind of gregarious. There's not too many like fungus that attack them, other than like a root rot.
Okay.
And I think honestly, the biggest threat to it is poachers.
Okay. So there's no coyote or bird of prey that's looking to nibble on it and
No, man, just I think you might have seen Beavis and Butthead Do America.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just them.
When they're stuck out in the desert
Yeah,
and they have their experience. Okay.
yeah, it's their sacred experience. Yeah, we're all outside now.
Okay. Cool. Well, we're almost done. We only got a couple more questions. Ethical considerations when taking up the hobby of cultivating or even just learning about, where is the gravity on the ethical considerations of this?
Well, the legal concerns are something entirely different, but that's something you should worry about. But it is. There's religions that surround this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a religious right for some people,
So it's highly
and
respected,
it's
considered.
very it's revered and sacred.
So you
And
don't want to
so,
disrespect it then, or
right, but at the same time, I feel like they don't really want people to mess with it, as because it is their sacrament.
oh, okay.
But it kind of seems like that's a double-edged sword because of its slow growth and its threatened status, and that's why earlier I was talking about the conservation through cultivation.
Do you have any idea what particular types of ceremonies it's used in? It sounds like it's a rite of passage type of,
And I don't have any experience with it myself. I've only read about it,
right?
but I mean they use it for you know rites of passage, illness.
Oh, okay.
Really, just it's a tool they use for healing in any capacity for individuals and the whole community.
I read something one time about the death of Aldous Huxley, and it involved some sort of. Are you at all familiar with that story?
I don't think so. I think I'm thinking of Timothy Leary and his LSD drip.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
Aldous Huxley had a similar. I think he died with an IV drip of LSD and passed away tripping his balls off, I believe.
Man, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. So I all that to say that I wonder if it is part of ego death or psychologically coming to a psychological understanding of the end of one's mortality. I can see at least how it might be part of that if it is not, or if it is.
Yeah, they're doing all kinds of research nowadays in the field of entheogens and using them as a tool for helping dying patients cope with the reality of death.
Well, I didn't know that, but I can understand how that would definitely do that. And I, and just from what you understand, like ego death and understanding, a change of perspective to where you're part of a greater whole and the interconnectedness, the matrix of, the physical realm, and I can see
Right,
how.
make it a little bit easier to dissolve.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Last question. And
Oh no.
before I wrap it up, yeah, thanks a lot for taking the time and helping me jump over all these obstacles that got us to have this chat. Any tips or advice for aspiring hobbyists such as yourself who are just getting started? What are three things to do or to take into consideration for someone that wants to get their feet wet?
Man, there's a lot of stuff you can read before you get your hands in. You need to
Okay.
learn
Do
a
your
little bit.
homework.
Do your homework, man. Know what you're doing. You want to understand the legal and the moral implications.
Sure. Is that a
And if that's
state to
something,
state issue or is that a federal? Is that a any idea? Do states vary in their or is it a uniform
I
federal
think there are
policy?
some states that have passed, some more lenient legislation against it, but federally, it's a different story, and it's Schedule One.
Okay.
And then you also have the moral issues that you'll have to wrestle with if it's something you want to take up with.
Sure.
So do your reading and your research, and then man, social media is a great tool to find like-minded individuals.
Okay. Uh
Facebook groups are pretty cool in that
okay.
aspect.
I don't doubt that. I can only presume that Reddit would probably have some subgroup.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh, our Lawful
surprised.
Flora, what's up? Shouts out.
That's all right. That's where you go to get in the know. One other piece of advice we've got: do your homework, cruise on the social media for networking.
And that, man, when you if you ever do have some and you're taking care of them, it's really hard not to overcare for them. Let them do their own thing.
Ah, yes, be a responsible parent and
Yeah,
let
they
them come to their own.
as much as you want to coddle them, they don't really need it.
Right. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
some water, some light.
There's lessons there, and that was a well-timed child
It's very
noise with the strong metaphor to parenting.
yeah. I got to coddle him though.
Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you, Elvis, for your time and your expertise and insight into this matter. Stick around for a second. I'm going to cut the recording off, but yeah,
Elvis Presley.
you are my second guest on Seven Qs for the Davenews, and hopefully one of many more. And thanks again.
Yes, sir.